Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Jason with JRC. Hope everybody's having a good first day to your new year. And this video, I'm going to be going over the chassis I've come up with for the LMT. Yes, I know the LMT is not out yet, and I will probably be getting. Hey, what's up, Booster? I'll probably get a lot of flack from it, but you know what? I don't care. I do this stuff for me, and if it helps others, good. If not, then I got a bunch of stuff I can play with. But so today I released that I'm making essentially 4 chassis for the LMT, and essentially it's a version of the APEP and the Percy's that are already out for the SMTs, and I just wanted to go ahead and kind of convert that over to the LMT. And back in November when it first came out, I think I saw the first video with Tony at CCXRC going over the release of the LMT, and the first thing that came into my mind was I want to use that drive line in my chassis. So I went into this with only really that in mind. I've seen the LMT. I mean, I like the platform that it's kind of built off of. The transmission setup and everything that they have sideways mounted. I'm kind of digging. And as soon as I saw that in the center differential axles, I kind of had to jump on it, and that's why if you guys are on Facebook, if anybody's watching this on Facebook, I'm trying to watch the stream on YouTube so I can answer any questions or anything that come up. I'm gonna try here to set this up so I can watch both. But I don't have any kind of flow to this. It's just going to be off the hip like most of my stuff is. So if you got any questions or anything throughout the video, just let me know. I'll be glad to answer them. But like I said, I have essentially 4 different chassis. I have what I call the bolt-ons, which are just that. And once you guys actually get your LMTs and you see them, you'll understand what I mean. Hey, Booster, you can hear me, right? But so yeah, essentially there's going to be 4 chassis. I have the bolt-on series, which is the ones I'm going to show you first. And essentially what they do is they utilize the center portion of the LMT, because the LMT is broken down into 3 sections per side. Alright, so this is one side. This is the non-driven side of the LMT, or the LMT chassis. What the heck? Sorry, I'm just trying to follow along, or try to get the Facebook up so I can follow along on there as well. Alright, thanks. I'm just making sure. I can hear myself, but I couldn't necessarily hear or know if it's going out. I'm sorry it is. But anyways, just rambling. It's late. So anyways, the LMT is broken down into 3 plates per side. You have your center section, which is where your transmission mounts to. Your transmission plate mounts to here. You got your exhaust pipe, your headers off here. You got your battery and everything that mount off of these 2 here, and then these back single holes on either side. The plates are identical on both sides. So the four of the pieces are completely identical. But that's what you have on this side, and then of course, since everything's identical, you have the identical setup for the other side, with the motor plate being the other centerpiece. Alright, so I'm just sharing out again. I might go over a couple things again, but just bear with me. Let's see. Alright, trying to get my fat gut out of the way. But anyways, so like I was saying,
New visitor.
identical plates front and rear. The center plates is the only thing that's different on these. So with the stock setup, you're about now regular bodies typically will fit on these. The problem is you're limited. You have to get the max, like 13 and a half inch wheelbase, and even those, I have one that's a 13-inch wheelbase, and it literally touches front to rear. Then I have another one that's 13 inches, and it has, about a quarter of an inch of clearance between the front and rear. Then you got to take into account the wheelie bar and stuff that goes on the back. So wheelie bar go on the back. Then you got to do a bunch of cutouts, things like that. But anyways, the main reason why I came up with these chassis was because a couple people have been talking throughout this process. Kind of wanted something smaller that would fit normal size bodies. Like, you cannot put a Gravedigger, Proline Gravedigger, or even, actually, let me go see the J Concepts here. I never tried this one. But I know the Proline doesn't fit. The Mortison body doesn't fit. Yeah, I mean, you see, you could tell the body just, it doesn't fit. It hits the front, or it sticks out the back, so you'd have to cut out the front to get it to center up on the chassis. So again, that was a main driving factor for me to do this, was people that have had these and have driven these mentioned that even though it comes with body posts and stuff like that, you have to get a big Proline body or something like that would fit over it. And that basically limits your options as far as what you can put on them. Whereas with the the LST, I'm not real familiar with that one. I'm kind of vaguely know what you're talking about there. But as far as you're talking about, as far as the gearbox and stuff, right? But these here, I mean, the chassis I made are about an inch shorter on both ends, while still being able to maintain your shock mounting positions for everything here, your sway bars, all that stuff, which I'll go over here shortly. I said it's not going to be a quick video. I'm just kind of having fun with it, explaining what I got and answering any questions. Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of bodies that won't fit. Like I said, I know for a fact, like that J Concept Gravedigger body, the Mortison body, the short cab pickup truck bodies don't fit. Your snoop nose probably won't fit. I mean, there's a bunch of them. I know Proline has a lot of big ones, like the Dodge Ram, the newer Dodge Ram. I've actually got that, and that's the one that I have that just barely squeaks by on the edges. So it's not there's no room for error. Um, and potentially a lot of rubbing, things like that. I'm not knocking this chassis at all. It is what it is. Um, and I'm glad to see they finally came out with a plate chassis instead of trying to be tubular. um, but anyways, so um, I mean the chassis is great, especially for people like me that just wanna put something different out there. And so with that being said, like I said, if anybody has any questions throughout this, let me know. I'll answer them as I go. We'll be on here a little while, or I'll be on here a while. I don't know how long you'll be on here for, but anyways. So first off, I have the APEP Percy's chassis. Okay. Now I'm going to put this together and show you what it's going to look like as a complete chassis. Now the big question I've had is what's the difference between all the chassis I have? Well, the ones I'm going to show you now are, like I said, I call them my bolt-ons, or the bolt-on chassis, which is exactly what they are. They closely mimic the exact locations of the components, the mounting locations, the shocks, and your sway bars and all that stuff. And what I mean by closely is you'll see in a second. But here is the Percy's chassis. I got the transmission plate on it, and you have the same stock locations for your stock sway bars, and you also have holes. There's 2 holes here. There's 1 hole specifically for the sway bars that I offer. That'll fit on here, the ISO HD sway bars. Yeah, like I said, the chassis. I got talking to a guy on here last night about they'll fit all but the wheelbase. The wheelbase says this, and that's it. But there's a difference between chassis size and wheelbase. And I have a 13-inch wheelbase truck, short bed or short cab, that won't fit on it. It's too short. It's 13-inch wheelbase, but on the short cabs, the wheelbase or the wheels are further forward, and the wheel wells are further back a little bit on some of them. Now, with this one here, the Percy, this is the pickup truck, obviously.
Returning visitor.
Truck chassis. Like I said, stock sway bars, places for my sway bars to mount. Utilizes the same center transmission plate and everything that the stock one does. All of your stock bracing and the stock chassis is 3mm, same thing as all of my other chassis for the SMT. They're all 3mm, so it's a perfect fit. Then you got your wheelie bars that bolt into the stock location. The gas tank, you take the gas tank, and I tried my best to get the gas tank in there, and the best that I could do because of the way the suspension travel is and everything, and you need such high arches here, and I wanted to keep a low center of gravity on the chassis itself. The tank comes in 2 pieces. You separate the 2 pieces, and it bolts back here on one of the connection points here. So it acts as a brace, and you can still have the tank there for the look of the real or stock truck. Again, it houses everything on here is stock that goes on your sway bars or stock swap overs. The what else? Oh, your shock locations. These here are in the same general location. They're shifted down slightly. Just because the way the chassis was designed was to be a low profile for one, because the original is so outrageously tall. Everybody that I've talked to has mentioned that it being top heavy, which I can see. I mean, the body here, the body and everything together weighs about 1.5 pounds just for the body and the top cage, which is crazy. um, so part of doing the chassis that I have is to lower the center of gravity, because they are top heavy. They mention how they like to kind of roll over a little bit, but you can also maybe see here. Alright, so those are back to back. You see how much longer this body is. I mean, it's 3.5 inches longer than the J Concepts body, of the same style. So if that gives you any idea how much bigger this body is, which, like I said, I'm not bashing it, but for being a basher, I mean, it's ideal. It's nice. It's strong. It's durable. But for a racer, I can't see that it being that practical. I mean, I guess you could put a different body on it that'll fit it, and you'll be fine. But anyways, like I said, I like to make different things. I like to try to make things better. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Alright. So I got 5 people watching. Anybody got any questions before I move on? Yeah, like I said, basically you're just adding an upper frame. You're shortening it. So if you look here, here, set this on top. Alright, so here's what we're looking at size-wise. Lowering the center of gravity down. I think with the body on the original chassis build up and this, you're dropped down about 2 inches. So this chassis sits about 2 inches lower with a body on it than the stock would. And like as you can see here, it's about 1 inch shorter on both ends. So it allows for normal bodies to be put on it, or more common bodies to be put on it, give you more of a variety and option, as far as that goes. And then we have the APEP cage chassis for this, as well as the bolt-on, giving you the same general look. I got a message here from somebody. Alright. So here's the APEP chassis. Fumble fingers here. Same setup, everything's almost exactly the same. The only difference is obviously it has the cage part of the chassis. Other than that, it's identical. Oops. Dropped my keyboard. Anyways, so yeah, completely identical, just different style chassis. Everything still swaps over, all that. So that one, excuse me. So you have the APEP or you have the Percy's. Both of these are available for pre-order on the website jrcustomdesigns/shop, as well as the Pro chassis that I'm about to show you is also available for pre-order on there as well. The final prototypes are being done for these. The Percy's I'm going to personally test myself, and the APEP, this one here, I'm going to send off and have someone test for me. And then the Pro chassis, I have a special guest I'm going to send that one off to get tested, because he was a big part in actually designing that chassis and giving me the ideas for that chassis. But for now he'll remain nameless. But at any rate, so yeah, so those are the two bolt-on chassis. Pretty simple, easy enough. Let's see here. So yeah, so the next and most, I wouldn't say most important, but my favorite is this is the APEP Pro R and the Pro RC rather. C is for cage. But some of you guys have seen the pictures that I've posted on this. This is like the other ones. It's an acrylic prototype chassis, just for looks only, and figuring out geometry and all that stuff. I know some people are really big on geometry in here. So yeah, so this is the APEP Pro RC, and if for most of you that haven't seen it or not that familiar with it, the major differences for this is, one, it's low center of gravity. The battery tray and electronics have all been lowered in the chassis as far as they can go without hitting the motor. You can see the spot in there for the motor. This here is a direct replacement for the entire LMT chassis. So it's a direct replacement for it. It fits the transmission tray. I've got the bolt-on location and everything for the transmission. New setup. Visitor bolts right to the chassis, just as it would on stock. You got your engine adjustment holes in there for the different size spur gears that you use. They're not conveniently numbered like the LMT, because you can adjust this to different locations depending on how much backlash you want in the gears and all that. And plus, I didn't want to copy their design completely on that, or at all really. I just wanted to be able to adjust it. This is not the completed chassis. This is not the final version. This is the second to final prototype. The biggest thing here is, as you can see, I don't have my shock on there. Let me grab a shock here so I can show everybody. But this is using my lower drag links. Alright. So basically, here's the dual setups. Obviously, this is not great because I just put it on there. So, but anyways, you get the idea. You got your stock shock location mount up set up here, and then you have your trailing arm setup, shock mounted setup here. And these are also available at on the website. They utilize the stock LMT rod ends on both ends. They come with their own grub screws and everything. You just take off the rod ends from the stock links and put them onto here, and then that's it. And as far as your shocks, you can use whatever shocks you want. I happen to use G-Made. They work really well for me. Then we have here, front and rear, we have the HD ISO sway bars. These are a lot thicker, a lot beefier than the originals, and they're a little bit longer, and they're almost a perfect fit for replacing the flimsy stock ones. Now on this chassis, you can still see where I have the stock sway bar mounting locations. In the final version, those will be deleted, and you'll have another set of holes across here, and you'll have a few more holes across here for mounting your shocks and mounting your sway bars. So the option to use the stock sway bars will be gone on this, and then you can use anything with a 3mm shaft. You can use mine or somebody else's, it doesn't really matter. But there'll be 3mm hole where you can use that to mount your sway bars. Now, like I was saying, the other thing to this is, if you notice, the battery and the electronics are completely flipped. Alright, so here is an overlay of the stock type chassis. So the battery and electronics and everything are flipped around. Because one of the biggest things, the biggest inputs that I got from anybody was the fact that these things are very wheelie happy. They like to pull wheelies, and they like to flip over. One, the weight and balance, CG, all that, which I've done twofold by lowering the height of the chassis itself.
New visitor.
So it doesn't sit so high. You can put a lighter body on it. It's not going to be as top heavy. The battery and electronics are switched, so now the electronics are normally up front. Now they're in the back. The battery's in the front to help keep the weight to the front of the vehicle, to help prevent, pulling wheelies and stuff like that when you start up. And also, like I said, it's dropped down as far as I could get it without hitting the motor, with the motor installed. Now, excuse me. Now on the final version of this, also, because of the axles and the way they are, my hope was to actually put them on my existing Percy's or APEP chassis. So, by not doing that, or not being able to do that, because as you can see here, there's a deep recess in here because the axles are humongous. They have to come up inside of here for the flex. So these won't easily, the center diff axles won't easily fit on a regular chassis. Yes, they will fit, but with limitations, of course. So another thing that I've done or gonna do for the Pro chassis when it's done is it's going to have another set of holes down here to where you can eliminate their center drive transmission and actually install a uh, SCS gearbox in its place. Uh, so that'll be something that should be relatively nice that you can do to uh, give it that more, I don't know, scale feel. Having an SCS gearbox in it. The only thing with the SCS gearbox is the battery tray. The battery tray will have to be disconnected from the electronics box, and it'll actually have to be moved up onto the chassis, or just pivoted up a little bit on the chassis to allow it, or to allow the clearance for the SCS gearbox to go inside there. Now that's just a thought right now. I haven't completed that part of the design. It's just something I thought might be nice to do, considering how scale this is. Um, I figured being able to put a SCS center drop gearbox in it would be pretty neat to do. Uh, so obviously, it's something that I might actually try myself. Um, but anyways, it'll have that option built into it just in case. And you would have to use because of the opening here and the holes and stuff on this side for the transmission. You'd have to use a freestyle RC style SCS drop transmission for it. Because it is a little bit taller than the uh, what's the other one? I can't think of the other one. Man, having a brain fart. Anyway, what's the other center gearbox? You got freestyle RC, and then RC four wheel drive. RC four wheel drive is the one I have. I believe that's the shorter one, but it'll be set up to run the taller, which I believe is the RC four wheel drive one. Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much it in a nutshell. The differences between the different chassis. Now, this chassis will come in a Percy's and a APEP. This is just the APEP chassis that I'm showing you here, because it's the only one that I have cut out right now as a prototype. Because the Percy's will be basically the same thing with just a truck top end on it here. So there won't be much, if any, real difference in that when it comes to the differences in those two chassis. But yeah, I mean, other than that, that's pretty much it. I've actually designed and printed these crossbars for the supports, because obviously with this you're not going to have the same supports as you would from the stock LMT, with the exception of these right here that come with it, because those are on the centerpiece of it anyways, so they're the right size. But anything up here, like I designed and printed these will be part of the kit as well for the crossbars. You have the shock tower mounts that will also be part of the kit. And then there's one other, I don't think I have it printed out yet. But nonetheless, I mean, these things are strong. I mean, yeah, I sat there with a pair of pliers on one to try to do it, and I couldn't get it to break. And then also what I'm going to do, even though the race chassis, or the Pro R, which is the race chassis, this one here was not really intentionally designed to use the wheelie bar, and I may even end up redoing doing this and actually making it of metal, which I'm sure somebody else is probably already on, but that was the least of my concerns. You'd utilize the same roller, but I'll probably just make a new one of these to open it up so it'll fit onto the chassis like it should, because it is the same thickness as a chassis right now, because it's meant to fit over the narrower chassis, which is a stock chassis. Right now it's the same thickness, so I had to space it apart, or bring it together, but I figure using this stock roller assembly here would be better to do, so that's kind of the route that I'll probably go with it. That way you could use as much of the stock components as possible and save yourself a little money in that regard. So the RC four-wheel drive, is that the bigger of the two, the taller? Because I know one of them's taller than the other. And on the SMT, or the Percy's and APEP for the SMT style that I have, they're set up to accept both, but I can't remember which one's the tall one. It's a little difficult to get the setup for the SCS in here, mainly because of this opening, and the mount holes for it. I'm trying to work around to
new visitor
to be able to use both of them. But as you can see inside here, the main drive, or the main hole for the motor falls right where the hole needs to go for the cross member, the top cross member for the transmission. So I mean, you could get spacers actually, I guess, and still mount it, because the new one has a hole right up here at the top of this crown. For the bigger transmission, you could probably actually just put spacers in there while I'm thinking about it, and just put the spacers in and then put the screws down through there. That might actually work. So either way, I mean, you should be able to use it no matter what, because the transmission plate that I'm planning on putting in there is actually my new design. So now essentially you can, it's pretty much like the old one, but instead of having just the center holes there, now I have 3 sets of holes, because with the SCS transmissions, they're offset to the front or the rear. I can't remember the mounting, so that way you can offset them here. So the gearbox, the drive line is more centered, if that makes sense. And then also it's got the center mount hole, and then this is elongated, so you can fit the RC four-wheel drive or the Freestyle RC transmission in there, because they, one of them, I want to say the RC or Freestyle RC is the one that's bigger, has the wider mount holes, so that's why this is elongated like that now. Whereas the other plate just accepted the smaller SCS transmission. This will accept the bigger ones. Plus, you can also put the offset gearbox in there as well. That's just part of the plate. You don't have to use it, and it'd be kind of silly to put it on this type of truck anyways, because now you have centered differentials. It'd be kind of defeat the purpose to put an offset transmission. So anyways, so I'm trying to make it as user friendly as possible. I'm trying to make it as cheap as possible, but in no means am I skimping on the quality, because the chassis material is going to be the same. It's going to be 5052, which is machine aluminum. So I mean, it's a stronger a stronger aluminum. 7075 for this kind of stuff is not really needed. Oh, so the RC four-wheel drive is a shorter one. Okay. Yeah, you probably have to use spacers for it then, because I can't possibly do it for the shorter one as a solid mount. So you'd have to use spacers to align it. But I mean, that's not a big deal. To be able to still have a drop transmission in one of these chassis running the stock or the scale looking axles and everything. So I think it's worth it. But nonetheless, so in a nutshell, that's what we got. That's what's coming. Yeah. So let me know what you guys think. And if you have any questions about it or comments, I'm sure I'll get an earful from somebody. I got a couple people in mind, but we'll wait and let them show their face. But yeah. So anyways, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, all these chassis should be out probably mid to late March. Like everything else, or most everything else, the chassis are made overseas, so it does take some time to get them back. But like all my stuff that I sell, unless otherwise stated, that's made for me, designed by me. So it's not something off the shelf, off of a Chinese website or something. And the quality control is in my control, and that's something I strive for. So yeah. But anyways, again, like, subscribe, ring the bell, stay notified. If you have any questions, just drop it in the comment section. I'll check it out. I'll get back to you as soon as I see it. Check out the shop at jercustomdesigns.com/shop, and check out all the other stuff that I have to offer for the SMT, Clodbuster, now the LMT, and hopefully if I don't have something already for you, I might be able to make something for you. I'm always open to suggestions. If you have any ideas of what you'd want to see, just let me know. We'll see what I can do. If you see something that needs to be made better or different, let me know. That's pretty much what I'm all about. I find the flaws that I feel that are in things, and I fix them. Now, granted, yes, LMT is not on the market yet, and there are some people out there that probably know more about this than I do, whether they're a part of the process or not, as far as making this. But I can tell you just from having it, like I said, the first thought that crossed my mind when I saw this come out, when I was watching CCXRC, the first thing that came to my mind, and you could go back through my Facebook, and the very first thing I said when I saw it is, I want that driveline in my chassis. And everybody's telling me you can't do it because it's a total different transmission, it's a total different setup, it's total different, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. Well, ta-da, because I did it. And like I said, I do this for the fun. This is not my primary job. I have another business that's on the screen. You can read it. Where's it at? Over there, down there. So I mean that's my primary business. The RC stuff I do for fun. I do because I have a passion for it. I love to do it. I don't just do it for the money. My whole goal is to bring you guys more options, whether better or not. Like the options with these trucks, all started because I liked RC four-wheel drive's chassis. I actually almost bought one, but I didn't because it's just so ridiculously oversized to me. This is my personal opinion. Um, and honestly, that's what got me to start making chassis, because nobody had a truck chassis that looked anywhere close to being decent to me. Um, they were all squared off and jagged edges, and there was no curves, there was no smoothness to it, there was no I don't know, just that was just me. So that's why I got into making chassis, because I wanted to do something. Because I've found in my other business that just because it's there doesn't mean it's better. You know, I like to innovate, or try to innovate, and make things better. And I know if I'm not happy with something, I know there's more people out there than just me that's not happy with something. So that's kind of how this all got started. Not trying to step on anybody's toes or anything. I know there's the fanboys out there and everything for these other companies that are race proven. But you know, it is what it is. You're not going to please everybody, and I don't care to. But I do thank you for those that have supported me and do support me in this. Um, I openly welcome any criticisms, comments, concerns about my products. But if you're going to criticize my stuff, you need to at least have it. Your opinions don't matter. And if you're giving them to people without educating yourself or having knowledge of what you're speaking of, then you're doing everybody a disservice. So yeah, I'll take criticism from anybody, but just make sure you know what you're talking about. At any rate, that's all I got. I'm gonna get off here. I'm rambling too much. It's getting late. Too old. Need to go to bed. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Check it out on Facebook, JRRC. And stay tuned. I got more stuff coming. You know, once these trucks hit the street and I can actually start running them, I'll have a lot more coming for you. So just stay tuned, and I'll keep everybody up to date. Like I said, about late March, these should be shipping out, hopefully. So if you want to pre-order them, you save 15% with promo code JMT Chassis, and you'll save 15% off your chassis kit. No matter what kit you get or what variation of the kit you get, you'll get 15% off of it. So check that out, and we'll see you in the next video. Everybody stay safe. Have a good evening. Enjoy your new year, and keep having fun with the hobby.